welcome to Michigan Football at the Voice of College Football. I am one of your post-game hosts, Desmond. I'm here with my partner, Dre. We will be talking to you about the Michigan UConn game that is just about wrapped up here. But before we get
It's
into
been
it,
wrapped up, Des.
it's been wrapped up for quite a while since
Final.
about that
Yeah,
first snap. First snap.
yeah, yeah.
But please like and subscribe. We just actually hit the 5,000 subscriber mark, so pretty excited about that. I just learned that today. So thank you for everyone who has subscribed. If you haven't, just click that button. We'd greatly appreciate it. And also join Mark's main channel, The Voice of College Football, and also join his Discord where you can talk not only college football, but also pro football 24/7, 365. Dre, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. It's a beautiful Saturday. I wish we had a little bit more of an entertaining game, but look, this is what we expected, right? When we talked about the schedule at the beginning of the season. So, look, enjoy it for what it's worth. It's always great to see your team win. It's great to see Michigan win, absolutely. But from a pure entertainment perspective, it's not very entertaining. I mean, I see a lot of people say these games, especially today, is boring. So it'll be. I'm looking forward to next week against Maryland, in which at least, even though I know Michigan's going to be favored, at least there are some interesting aspects of Maryland that it'd be good to see. I think baby TT, who we call him, is going to at least challenge this Michigan defense from from a passing perspective. So maybe that's something we could pull out of that. But to be honest, Des, I mean, me and you know this, and I think our subscribers know this. Is that I mean, it's just really hard to pull a lot from these type of games from an analytical perspective. You just want to see hopefully less guys getting hurt, some guys coming back who are hurt, and just not the team playing sloppy. So that's just pretty much it.
Yeah, it was good to see some explosive plays and guys, have some success. I think guys that are going to play a big role when it comes to Michigan and just kind of carrying the workload. So on that side of it, that aspect, it was good to see. But yeah, like you said, it's you don't want to sound spoiled, if you will, because you're just like, oh, this is kind of boring. You love each and every win that your team gets. You love all of them.
Sure.
But yeah, like you said, if you in a perfect world, you'd love it to be a little closer. But the
It's not about the
good part
score,
of it
though.
is you're gonna have that eventually. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, I don't know, man. The way the Big Ten looks so thus far, I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, for a long time, I was circling the Iowa game as, man, that's going to be the first true test. Well, I mean, they can't find the end zone. So, I mean, we'll see. But look, there are a couple things I didn't notice. I think based on the quality of opponent, I think the offensive line has been decent. I don't think they've been dominant, actually, especially defensively. I mean, where's the pass rush? Where are the sacks? Where are the QB pressures? I want to see more of that. I'm not criticizing. I'm saying they haven't done it. I'm saying I want more and expect more versus quality opponent, right? I want to see the offensive line, especially the right side of the offensive line, handling their business better. I think the right tackle position has been a little bit more of a question mark this season. So, I mean, there are some things that kind of catch your eye because when you're going against this quality of opponent, no, there's no perfect football team. There's no perfect performance. But you do want to see certain things shored up, right? So, I mean, there's a couple things you can nitpick if you wanted to. But this versus type of team, man, it's hard. It's really hard. When you're midway through the third quarter and you're playing your third stringers, I mean, that says a lot. I mean, you probably could have started doing it at halftime. So, it just is what it is.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised that JJ played in the second half at all. And not that, it's right or wrong or anything like that. I just saw the game just so out of hand that I just assumed he would be on ice. But the announcers, I was listening to them, they had mentioned that Harbaugh had planned to play the starters a little bit more than they did, the previous 2 weeks, just for, conditioning and just to
Yeah.
sharpen up for before Big Ten play. So that I get it. Like that does make sense. I was just a little bit surprised, but someone had mentioned too. I did hear that let's see, yeah, Cade never. From what I've read, he didn't come out of the locker room after halftime or after he
Mm-hmm.
took the hit because he got sacked on like his first snap, which was crazy. And then I think either the second or third play he made a throw but got hit pretty hard. While he was throwing the ball, and then he came out like limping, and I don't think he ever came back in. I mean, I think at this point we are gonna be Michigan is gonna be fine because JJ is gonna be the one kind of driving the ship, so to speak. So I think it'll be fine. It looked like it was something like maybe ankle, but I'm just literally guessing. It looked
All
like
I'm
it was
telling
something
you
like he
is,
was limping, but
all I'm gonna say is that brother's having a rough, man. He's had a rough lately. He's had a
true,
rough.
very
He's
true.
lost his starting. I mean, he's lost his starting job. He's lost his confidence. It appears, and now for the few times he does play, he's getting banged up. I mean, he's had a rough lately. So I feel for him. I really do.
I did see him
Um,
smiling on the sideline though. That was a good sign, before he got in the game because obviously the last time he stepped on the field, he was getting booed by, fans kind of going, off the rails there. So it was good that he was at least in good spirits. It sucks, like you said, yeah, that he got, banged up today, but hopefully he'll be able to, to bounce back. He's got, a week to get healthy. Um, and yeah, I,
he's
I
still
I wonder
important.
what kind of challenge Maryland is gonna pose. But
Well,
anyway, before we kind of move there, what did you think of Blake Corum's performance today?
um, well, I, I mean, statistically, it looks great. I mean, 5 touchdowns. I mean, I didn't learn anything different about him. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's electric. He's lightning. In a bottle, he really is. You can't tackle him in a phone booth. I mean, he's exactly what he was last year. And he was able to do that. Quite frankly, without having Donovan Edwards to come in to spell him a little bit. Donovan Edwards didn't play today, and I hope that's an injury that's apparently Harbaugh's saying something he's working through something, so it's probably not serious, but it was enough. I'm sure also due to a quality opponent, it wasn't worth him playing and re-aggravating. So, but he was fantastic today. But he's the guy that we need healthy. I like CJ Stokes as a third guy behind there. But it's just good to see Blake, do what he does.
Yeah, I think a couple things. So number one, yeah, like you said, he looked explosive, which we knew he was. I mean, the first time we really got a glimpse of him last year, we were talking about how explosive he is. So it's so not as if we didn't know that. But the thing that I think the most of his performance was he didn't have to get a ton of carries. And I know Steve Dace had mentioned that he thought in the out of conference that Michigan would give Edwards and Corum a break. Wouldn't do the kind of the typical Jim Harbaugh, which is a heavy run game with those specific guys. And it looks like that is coming to fruition. Obviously, Edwards missing the game today, which was news. Did you see that coming? I hadn't heard anything about him potentially
I
missing the
knew
game, so that
I
was
knew
that
he
was a
was.
shock to me.
I know Harbaugh said last week and throughout the week that he's been working through something. So I knew that he was been dealing with some kind of injury.
Hmm.
But I don't believe it was announced that he was going to actually miss the game until later in the week. So,
Okay.
um, but like I said, versus UConn, they didn't miss him today. But no, not at all. I mean, take your time with it. Don't rush the kid back. But Captain Banana Peel has highlighted something that I brought up earlier, and it's about the O line. If there's anything you can nitpick and say about today's performance, it's the offensive line. Now they didn't play bad, but they're definitely not dominating, in which they should. For what this offensive line was projected to be, which is one of the best in the country, right? I would not say they have dominated their competition, in particular UConn today. They've looked meh, okay, you know, and that is something that has to get better, as the competition level rises. So, is it relevant today as much? No, but it will be later on as the season continues to progress. And in terms of Cade being banged up, I know people want to unseat Cade and say, well, man, I'm sure Cade should be the backup. Give it to Warren. With Cade's experience, game experience, he is a perfect backup. And I'll tell you this much. Um, you know, they still need him because the way JJ plays, he is one hit away from being out the game. Think about how easy
Any starting quarterback is.
any
You
starting
know what I mean?
quarterback,
It
any starting
in
quarterback, right? Yeah,
mm-hmm.
and for Michigan with the type of aspirations they have, let's say JJ go, on a certain RPO call, or maybe he's trying to extend a play with his legs, he pulls a hamstring, or he rolls an ankle, nothing serious, but just enough to compromise him where he can't play the rest of the game, or he has to miss a couple weeks. Well, I mean, it a guy like Cade McNamara is extremely valuable, with the kind of game experience he has. So, I think it's vital that whatever he's dealing with, that hopefully he heals up. And as long as he's on this roster, he is very, very important. He is very important because because of what Michigan is trying to do. If Michigan didn't have championship aspirations, then maybe not as much. But with the type of situation they're in, you got to have that backup situation solidified.
Yeah, you just the thing it's insurance, right? It's like car insurance. Like you never want to actually use it. Like ideally, you'd never use your car insurance. But if you do have something happen, it's something good to have.
Yeah.
And we are, Detroit Lions fans and for us, we've seen how abysmal our backup quarterback situation has been really since what was it, Sean Hill? I mean, and that's might be what almost a decade ago that he was here. So it's something that your season can go off the rails quick if you don't have at least a guy who can just steady the ship. He may not be a superstar who's going to come in and throw 5 or 6 touchdowns, but if you plug him in, he can get you, 2 or 3 big throws, and it's just going to take what the defense gives, and that's exactly what you want as a backup quarterback. So it's yeah, I think I hopefully think Cade will be fine. But I looked at Alex Orji. He looked pretty explosive as far as
Well,
running around and something
well,
similar with what I mean. Like kind of, I think Michigan will be okay. I think Cade will be okay. But I think even if he's not, I think they have some guys that potentially could keep things afloat a bit.
yeah, that's the main thing. I mean, we're not going to brag too much about the backup quarterback position, but we're just saying that, hey, I mean, it shouldn't be dismissed, and hopefully it's something just for his own sake that he's able to recover from, and they'll continue his season. But look, you saw guys like Ryan Bell making plays today, which is great to see. Blake Corum, C.J. Stokes, Carlson had a pretty good game today. Should have had a pick,
God, he
dropped
dropped
it.
that pick.
He
Yeah,
dropped
you
that
gotta
pick.
catch
Should have.
that,
You
man.
got to catch that, man. So there's little things you can nitpick and say, hey, you got to capitalize in certain situations. I mean, UConn beat themselves a lot too. My gosh, lack of recognizing Michigan loading on one side, punting. It's just like, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's frustrating when you just want to see good football in general. It's one thing when you're watching your team play, but you want to see quality football. And when you see one team like UConn where it's just so bad, where it's like, oh my God, you're literally dropping the ball on a handoff and giving us the ball. It's like, just make it easy. We're already way better than you. Just make it easier for us, and so, but hey, you know.
How do you think Jim Mora is feeling today about coaching UConn, coming back from his media gig, if I'm not mistaken? I think he was doing media to
Yeah.
coach UConn.
Well, the saying "Mama said there'll be days like this." He probably had that kind of saying in his mind, man. Like, man, this is a rough one. But I always find it interesting when I see coaches. When I look at coaches for teams that are so inferior in certain games, like I wonder how do you process that as a coach? How do you keep guys going? How do you keep guys motivated? And I think the best thing is you're just trying to focus on the small things. Hey, make sure you're doing your assignments. We know we're overmatched here. You may not say that, but in your mind, you're like, I know we're overmatched here, but I got to at least make sure my guys are executing their plays. We're not beating ourselves. So for Jim Mora, you're looking at the things that you beat yourselves. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at fumbling the ball off a handoff. You're looking at not recognizing pump block formation, stuff like that. So, I'm sure it was rough for him, but look, he should have known what he was getting himself into, when he took the job.
Yeah, and as a coach, there's a portion of the internal reality that you have where you know in your mind what this is gonna look like. I think Jim Mora has coached enough football to know that. So yeah, I would imagine that, but still, for him outwardly, right, to his team, his staff, like they've got to make sure that they're still getting guys, up and focused and ready to perform their best. Because on top of losing a game, you just don't want guys out there lollygagging and not giving their all, because that's how guys can easily get hurt. So you gotta be careful with that. And I think Mora did a good job. UConn had a couple flash plays where they would make a good play here and there, things of that nature. So I think Moore is a good coach. I just think UConn just might be one of those jobs where it's just gonna be difficult, man. Just it's an uphill climb. The announcers were talking about after, I think next week, UConn's got a tough game next week, and then after that, kind of some
They're North
more
Carolina State. They're
winnable
going at
games.
North, well, they're going at North Carolina State.
Hmm.
So that's going to be a pretty tough one. No, look, it's a tough slate. I mean, at least they're not winless. They were able to get a win versus Central Connecticut. So, for their standpoint, at least you're not winless, and you're not totally devoid of some kind of success in that locker room. So, but you feel for him. You feel for where he is, and I'm sure that he'll get them to being respectable for Connecticut from a Connecticut standard. But for Michigan, look, guys, like, there's no great sauce that we can cook up for this type of post game analysis. It went as expected. Um, they did their job. They look good, but in terms of how good they really are, we just don't know. Until they get tested. That's the proving ground. We don't know how good JJ McCarthy is yet. We see the tools. We see things that he can improve on, like today. And I text this is, there was a drive in which JJ was rolling off. This is in the first quarter, I believe. He's rolling to his right, and he tries to hit Roman Wilson in the end zone, but the UConn linebacker tips the pass and knocks it down. And if you go back and look at that play, as JJ is rolling over to his right, he's locked in on Roman Wilson the entire time. His eyes are. And so one of those things he can get better at is, even though he knows he wants to hit Roman, he has to find a better way to look guys off. Because and all it takes is a split second to pause, try to look one guy off, and then bam, zing that ball into Roman Wilson. That's a touchdown. So no, it didn't matter today, but versus higher levels of competition, it could. So those are one of those small things you want to see JJ get better at, and he will. And that's why these games are so important, because of repetitions. Because you can be as talented as you want to be, but unless you've had the repetitions of being in different types of scenarios, different situations, you're not going to really know how to handle it, right? And so that's part of the learning progress to help you achieve that potential you really have, to really kind of bring it all together, right? Because sometimes you can have all the nice ingredients, but you got to be able to bring it all together, right? So that's what we're trying to do with JJ McCarthy. He has all the tools you need. We just want him to continue to fine tune those tools so we see what he can really be.
Yeah, and I shot you a text about JJ's pass attempts, and I actually put this on the channel for the over under on JJ's pass attempts for today. And it's very random, but the number that I picked was 18 and a half. And then I asked people, do you think JJ will go over or under? And so you text me, you think he would go over, and I was pretty set that he would be under. Now, it just works out kind of that way, but most people in the poll, so we had just over 100 votes. 65% thought over, 35% thought under, and I think he finished with 18 pass attempts, which is kind of crazy. That's funny. But yeah, so what were your thoughts on the pass attempts? Like, did you think it was good? Do you think you should have thrown it more? Like, any
I
any
mean,
any thoughts on it?
based on how the game went, I thought it was pretty normal. Like I didn't feel like they tried to force it one way or the other. I would have liked to see some more shots down the field, and I think they were trying to a little bit, but um, like there was actually one play where JJ tried to extend a play a little bit too long, and he took a
And then he took a sack.
unnecessary
Yeah.
unnecessary sack, and that's one of those growing pains, right? What? Don't hold on to the ball for one. You don't take an unnecessary sack. Two, you don't have to take the hit. Just throw the ball out of bounds because he has to learn that, man. Like it's just not high school, dude. Like you're literally one hit away. Don't take a hit if you don't have to. If the play's not there, check it out of bounds. Live to play another day, unless it is the last play of the game.
Hmm.
Like get rid of that ball, man, and let's see what the next play has to offer. So those are one of those growing pains and things he has to learn. And hopefully he doesn't learn the hard way by taking a bad hit.
Yeah, in there's multiple things I think he could. And granted, it's one play, so we're obviously not going crazy over it. But in that spot, you'd love to see him either just go get a yard or two and get out of bounds. Get a yard or two and slide, or like you said, just throw it out of bounds. Like it's fine. Live to fight another play. Because a lot of times I think about like worst case scenario. You know what I mean? And what if that guy who tackles him from behind rolls up on his ankle? You know what I mean? And it's just like now he's got an ankle injury to deal with for this, for the game, and it just those types of things happen. It's football. It's 100% injury rate. Everybody gets banged up at basically after game one. So it's just gonna happen. You can't prevent it, but if you have hits that you can avoid, absolutely try to avoid those things because you just don't want to. You just don't need to take unnecessary hits. That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, and Blake was talking about how the receivers on that play, did not move, and that may be the case, but that's on JJ to recognize. And after a certain point, just get the ball out of bounds, get it out of bounds, and that's the whole fact of the matter. It's not saying that JJ did was egregious, but it's just one of those learning things. If you don't have to take a sack, don't do it.
Don't take one.
Don't take one, and just chuck it out of bounds, especially when you're that close. Gosh, I'm looking, and you're trying to point. I saw him trying to point right before he got sacked. Okay, it's not there. You know what? Forget it. Let's get out of bounds. Because the quarterback, those are some things you can't control. You can't control if your receivers aren't moving, right? You can't control that. So after a while, you had to have the presence of mind and awareness to say, you know what? Let's live to fight another day. I'm gonna get this ball out of bounds. And that's just it. Because what happens if blank name, and I'm not on you right now, but let's just say, let's go with the fact that that happens again. JJ is trying to make a play, guys aren't moving. But let's say the pass rusher gets to him, but this time he comes from behind, swipes at the ball, and it's a strip sack fumble, right? Those things happen all the time, right? And it's because as a quarterback, you got your eyes down the field. You don't see exactly where that pass rusher is coming from, what angle he's coming from, and what he's doing with his hands. So that's why those things are important for the quarterback to have the presence of mind to protect the football at all times and know when to keep going and when to give up. So that's all. Like we're going to keep saying it. All we can do is nitpick on certain games like this because everything's going to look great because we're so much better. But we're trying to win the Big Ten again. We're trying to maybe even win a national title. So what are the things that we can continue to do today to get there? That's all.
Yep, absolutely. Um, I would have to check and see because someone had mentioned a receiver that I don't remember seeing at all. And that is Cornelius Johnson. Hap Harris says, man, Johnson needs to step up and be who we thought he was. Too many drops. Did he play today? Because I don't remember seeing him at
Whew.
all.
Yeah, he wasn't really in the mix today as much. I think he was out there because it was a I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but no, I definitely saw Ronnie Bell out there for sure. He almost had
Well,
a
I know that,
spectacular
but did you
catch.
see number 6? I don't
I
remember seeing him at all.
Yeah, I don't think I think I heard his name called once, if I'm not mistaken.
Oof, that's not a good thing.
But again, he's not the only guy. Eric All didn't really make a lot of noise today. I mean, I saw him a lot more in the blocking more than I did see him, catching passes. So it could have been just the way that the plays were called and the way the game went. I mean, I know I'm not worried about Eric All. I know exactly what he is. So they got a pretty good idea what Cornelius Johnson is. Only thing about Cornelius Johnson is that this is a kid where we have a lot of high expectations for him to be. There are some people who think he should be the number one on this team, the number one receiver. And he has struggled at times of being consistent with showing that ability. So once again, as the competition rises, you will like to see him make more plays because he's going to need to. But no, he wasn't the only guy who didn't have a great game in terms of making a huge impact. But you know, Neither here
Yeah,
or there.
it's that was it's weird because like I said, I was someone who, even last year kind of talked about, Cornelius and with this year as well, but to have I mean, it's UConn, so I'm not gonna go crazy, but definitely don't remember seeing Cornelius like one time. Now, granted, this wasn't the most riveting game ever, so I wasn't absolutely glued to the TV every second of the game. But it listen, you get out of here. Hopefully, Cade is good. You were able to get Edwards some rest. Corum looks like he's you're essentially unscathed. Got some things to work on, which every team does, no matter how good or bad you looked. Everybody's got things to work on. So, all in all, it's good. I think fans are probably at this point ready to get into some Big Ten play.
Yeah.
Got Maryland coming up. It's going to be a unique challenge. And then after that, we got spooky Kinnick Stadium. I mean, there's literally no one who can. It's impossible to go in there and win. Like it is impossible. You've told me that. There's no way. There's no way.
How
So
once again,
I'm afraid. I'm afraid.
look, man. If I'm an Iowa fan, I'm afraid that we're not gonna score. That's like think about how sad it is. I'm like, man, I don't know how many points are we going to score today. Like, I mean, how are we going to get an end zone? I mean, it's like I said. Look, it's a lot of the schools. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine fan because there's a lot of a lot of the fan bases have way more to worry about. But you know, so that's just it's the pros and cons when you have games like this, right? It's great to see your team win, but you're like, man, can you at least have some kind of a resistance on the other side? Like just something. I mean, these guys look like FCS players. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't look like they belong on this stage. That sounds harsh, but it's like that's how bad the football really is. And it's like, I'm a CMU alum. Based on how I saw CMU perform at Central Michigan University, saw how they performed at Oklahoma State week one. I feel pretty good that CMU can give Michigan a tougher battle than these last three teams. And that team's from the MAC. So it's just tough.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. UConn they're in a they're in tough shape right now. So, couple things. So it looks like Syracuse just scored a touchdown to go up 31-29. There's like 7 seconds left in that game. I just have the ESPN website up, not actually watching what's happening, but yikes. That's not ideal. So it looks like Purdue's just blew a game that they probably should win. But anywho, yeah, Jake says, "Where's Andrell Anthony after state last year? I thought he was wide receiver one, or maybe could be one this year."
Yeah, he's interesting because before the state game, he really wasn't to be found. Then they had the state game. You're like, man, who was this kid? But you really didn't see like a ton after that. I don't know. That's a great
That's
question. I
super
mean,
odd. Like,
he's
so
been out
maybe,
there.
yeah, I saw him. I saw him plenty of.
He's been
He's
out
definitely
there.
playing.
It's just
Um,
not. He's not making an impact right now.
I just wonder if just that state game was the anomaly. You know what I mean?
When he
Versus
was at home,
what the
what
rule
was
is going to be. No, that
yeah,
was on the
but
road.
no. He was at
Oh,
home.
I
He's
got you.
from Lansing. He's from
Sure.
Lansing. So I don't know. Maybe it was something special that day. He's at home, and like I don't know, dude. I mean, but yeah, I agree. I mean, and it wasn't like it was fluky plays. Like
Mm-mm.
he looked like ooh, like who is this
That
kid?
the deep one that Cade threw to him, that crosser that he caught and run for the touchdown, like that. The first thing is the catch. That was it seemed easy. That was a very difficult catch because Anthony is running behind a defender. So as the ball is traveling to him, he actually has some time where he does not see where the ball is. And then, you get to the other side of the defender and boom, it's right there. Catch it and then just turn on the Jets. And that wasn't the only play, obviously, that we saw him make. So he had a really good game. Like you said, it wasn't any fluky plays. It was legit high level wide receiver play. And you just wonder, I mean, for Michigan, that was the most that they really threw the ball overall in any one game. So maybe that was it. It's just that the meat and potatoes of Michigan's offense last year was Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum and Edwards. So maybe that was it. But I don't. It is very odd for a guy to pop like that, and then we essentially don't really see him again do anything close to that. So, I mean, it's been we're coming up on a year now, right? Next month in
Yeah,
October with the Michigan State game.
yeah,
It's like, man, that's a lot of games to have the opportunities and to not do it again.
yeah. No, I mean it's interesting, but like, look, it's unfortunate because like this kid definitely has ability, and you would hope that this coach staff finds some way to tap into that on a more consistent basis. But I wanted to comment on something that Mr. Jones said. The schedule is the schedule. Why is everyone hung up on the out of conference competition? We handled them like we should in the story. Well, yes, that is correct, Mr. Jones. But the reason why we bring up the schedule is not that it's not Michigan's fault, well, the players' fault or the coach's fault. They play who is on their schedule. But for us, when we are analyzing where this team is, how can we give a fair, objective analysis of how good and what true trajectory this team is on based on the competition they're playing this year, right? Like, yeah, they look like world beaters the last 3 weeks. But they've also played maybe some of the worst three teams in the world the last 3 weeks. So it's like, okay, well, how good are we? I know we should be good. I know we should be in the running to win the Big Ten. I know on paper our talent is there. We're winning, but how does that really shake up compared to the competition later in the year? I'm not exactly sure. Even though I may give us the edge, it's so lopsided where we haven't been tested, right? And that's why it's important to bring up from an analysis perspective. It'll be easy to come on here and say, man, Michigan's killing everybody, go blue. We look like we're going to take everyone down and beat everybody by 50 like we did today. That's just not reality. It's possible. It could be a once in a lifetime team, but we won't know that until we see it. That's all. But no one's complaining about it because they're doing what's on their schedule. It's not their fault.
Well, at the end of the day, well, better yet, at the end of the season, if Michigan goes on to beat Ohio State, win the Big Ten championship, win a playoff game, and are in the national championship, nobody's going to care about your soft out of conference schedule. But if you whatever lose to Ohio State or get to the playoff and lose in the first round, and it's in that aspect, that game is similar to the Georgia Michigan game last year, then people are gonna go back and look like, well, they didn't really play anybody out of conference, blah blah blah. It's the same thing that some of the teams in the SEC get when they schedule cupcakes. If you win, it doesn't matter. If you lose, then people like to go back to that. That's just the reality that we're in. Is that's how people operate. Like that's pretty much it. Like with Clemson, it was the same thing. They had those years where the ACC was soft and they didn't really play anybody out of conference. And when they got to the playoff, they were throttling people. So it didn't. So I don't remember anybody talking about that 15-0 Clemson team with Trevor Lawrence as a true freshman, worried about their out of conference. I don't recall anyone saying
No,
anything
no,
about
no,
that.
no. You just win, baby. You just win and you move forward,
Mm-hmm.
right? So no, that's true. But it's just like when from our perspective, what we're on here to do, Des, we're on here to analyze the team, what we see, right? So I don't have my pom poms right now. When I'm watching the game, I got my pom poms out. Not literally, I don't use pom poms, but you get what I'm saying. In terms of cheering on the team, but and like Antoine likes to say, I'm eating my cupcakes too while watching them eat. So it's like don't get it wrong, don't get it twisted. I mean, like you're happy the team is winning, but it's just like when you're like, someone posed a question, well, how do we know how good OSU is? How do we know how good Alabama is? Good question. We don't. And I'm not going on here saying that Ohio State looks like they're about to win a national title. Same thing for Alabama. The only team that I've said I do not want to touch from a 10-foot pole is Georgia because of what they did to Oregon. Okay, Oregon came in, no matter what you think of Oregon, they came in the season ranked, what was it, number 6? And they
Something
beat
like
them like
that.
Michigan and they beat them like Michigan beat UConn today. Okay, so I'm just saying, like
Actually, just like that. Yes, actually, just
just
like
like
that.
that. So it's like, okay, that sticks out. You know what I'm saying? That was a quality, at least ranking wise, a quality opponent. Like, for example, we don't know how good Notre Dame is, right? Notre Dame looks very suspect. And Ohio State struggled with the majority of the game at home.
Mm-hmm.
Struggled. They definitely didn't blow them off the field. They definitely didn't beat Notre Dame the way Georgia beat Oregon, right? So it does matter. It's like, how do you beat the type of opponents you play? And it's like, well, yeah, it's proving ground. I'm not putting Ohio State anywhere near Georgia. I'm not putting Ohio State over us. I'm just saying, like, it does matter. That's the proving ground. You play better opponents, you win, and then you get more, I guess, more of a boost in terms of what you can do. I don't say that makes it negative. I mean, I'm not even gonna try. You can't please everybody. Don't worry about Michigan eating
Exactly.
eating cupcakes. You mad, bro? Because we got extra frosting. Look, man.
I think he's talking to somebody in the chat. That yeah, I think he's talking to GOJ. But
Is it
yeah,
true? Is Notre Dame really losing the count at half? Oh my lord!
super well, not random, but I'm looking at this Purdue Syracuse box score. So the final score is 32-29. That's 61 total points. 42 points were scored in the fourth quarter. 42 points. That is wild. Let's see. Is Notre Dame lose? I would imagine. I mean, if someone put it in the chat, I would imagine that is happening. Oregon is
Oh
up early,
god!
7-0 on BYU. Ole Miss is up 14-0 on Georgia Tech. Auburn's up 3-0 on Penn State. I know a lot of people are in the chat talking about potentially Penn State and where is that? And Michigan fans writing them off, so to speak. Yeah, I'll take their word for it. I'm sure Notre Dame is losing.
Oh my
Let's see.
god! Oh, can you imagine? Oh, and they're at home again. Oh, Marcus Freeman may not make it out of September.
Oh,
Oh
he's making
god!
it out of
I
September.
know.
Stop it.
I'm just joking. I'm joking. It's just my goodness. Whew. Um. Yeah. Anyway, it's I don't know, dude. I guess I'm so negative. Michigan's great.
It's so
We're
funny
gonna.
you say that because you said that, and then literally the next comment I read was Rob J saying Dre is a negative Nancy. That's oh man, that's the timing is incredible. That's
It's
great.
okay. No, I know I'm
That's
gonna do
great.
this. I'm gonna say Michigan's awesome every day.
Antoine
That's
asked
gonna
for
be my.
your Twitter handle, so it is that is Dre's Twitter handle right there at Dre23MJ. He is
Antoine just
very
wants
idle on
Antoine,
Twitter.
Antoine
So
just wants to force feed me cupcakes, man. I like cupcakes, but I don't want them. Like sometimes, I mean, can I get to dinner first, man? I want a nice full course meal, and enjoy it, and then I have cupcakes for dessert. I get tired of just eating
stop lying to the
cupcakes.
people, okay? Stop lying to the people. I know your habits or what they used to be because we be talking on the way leaving work, and you're picking up a strawberry shake before you get home and eat dinner. So that is a flat out lie. That's a flat
I
out
don't,
lie.
I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah,
So
that
you
that
gonna
day.
lie again? You gonna lie when I call you out about your lie? You gonna lie about that? You gonna lie
No,
on the
no,
lie?
that's true. No, no, that's right. That's right. It is what it is. But no, man. Look. Oh, I look
I
at
don't. I
this.
don't think. Here's the thing. So yes, the win is a win. The game is over. Just I don't think there's any reason to feel bad about it. There's some, like I said, there's some things that Michigan can clean up. And what I will say is, I would Kirby Smart after beating Oregon 49-3 would tell you that Georgia has some things to clean up. So no matter what the performance on the field was, you always have things to work on every week. So it's not I wouldn't worry much about, feeling bad about it. You could have I think Michigan could have gone down the field more if they wanted to. Also, think about this: running the ball keeps the clock moving, and that shortens the game. Which a longer game equals more opportunity and more potential for guys to get hurt. I mean that is part of it. So
Look,
I
this.
wouldn't.
Look what this type of weak game did to Brandon. He said, "I didn't even know how to feel about this. Like I felt bad. Like I. You know what's funny, dude? Like he's not saying the same thing I'm saying. Like I actually feel bad for the opponents a little bit. I'm like, man, this is so sad. Do you guys feel like that sometimes? Like when you watch
You don't
Hawaii and
feel bad
Connecticut.
for no
I
opponent.
do.
Stop.
I'm looking at these kids and I'm like, man, like they must feel so defeated. Like they're trying their butts off, and it's just like it don't even matter. Like it's just like I don't know. I don't know. I don't, and I think it's funny for people who like say, "Well, don't complain." People complained last year when they were winning. It's like, well, what do you consider complaining? I would love Rock J or the people who like to call some of us out for complaining. Like, explain what do you consider complaining versus criticism and analysis? Like, I don't. What I can consider complaining is like, man, this team never does anything right. No, I mean, I never. I give Michigan credit. I say that things are doing well, but I'm like, there's always something you can work on and fine tune. And so, why would I omit that and not bring that up?
Oh
I
boy.
don't know. You bet
Uh,
not.
Urban is going to Nebraska. I don't believe this for 1 second.
I hope it doesn't
It
happen.
may happen, but I don't think I don't even. So yes, Nebraska should make the call, and I believe a report is out that they did reach out to Urban Meyer, and my thought is Urban probably slapped that hand that was reaching out to him and said, "Get out of here, leave me alone."
Well, I don't know. It's interesting. Here's what I
Dude,
will say.
Nebraska.
I got about a few more minutes to sell this point to you. Okay,
Okay, okay.
Nebraska's in a unique geographical situation. We know Urban Meyer loves to recruit California and Texas kids, right? Well, nationally in general, but he loves
Urban
California
Meyer
and
loves to
Texas.
recruit the best freaking kids. That's
Yes,
who he loves to
the
recruit.
best. Yes, the best players in the country. But Nebraska's in a situation where they're in the vicinity of Texas and they're not too far from California, right? So, and Nebraska's in the West. He has a straight pipeline to the Big Ten title game with not a lot of competition. I I think I think if they're willing to cut a blank check, that it could be potentially enticing for him, giving also the transfer portal. I think there's a chance that they could land him if they wanted to pay the right amount of money, and he could be successful there. And he's not a Big Ten East, so I don't got to see him every year. So
Well, Urban Meyer made a move to the Big Ten East when he took the Ohio State job. Took a job that I believe had, I can't remember if they had sanctions or suspensions when he took that job, but they were 500 roughly with Luke Fickle. Um, and he chose to go to the most difficult division in the Big Ten. He could have gone anywhere he wanted. He went there. I don't. I mean, sure. If I'm leaving California, what is the difference if I go to Nebraska, Ohio State, Georgia, or Florida? What's the difference?
with talent, with
Well, no,
stable
I'm
programs.
just saying overall, like the vicinity. Like I got to get on a plane either way. Who cares if I'm going to Gainesville or Nebraska in the middle of nowhere?
I get it, dude. But the Urban Meyer could be the one exception that can like draw you there. Like I go play the Urban Meyer, I know we're gonna win, and I know that I'm gonna get to NFL. Like he like certain coaches are like that where they can like kids just they attract certain kids. Like
But
I
Urban,
like
I
Nebraska.
feel like Urban could win, and just about anywhere though. Why would I take? Literally, it's one thing to be like, okay, this job's going to be a challenge, but I know we can be amazing. I'm sure he thought that with Ohio State. Like, this is going to be a challenge, but if I hit this out of the park, we are going to be amazing. Um, so there is an aspect of it that you want the challenge, but why would he take literally the hardest road to get to success? Like, I understand he probably does want a challenge, but I don't know, man. I just don't. And the difficult part is I feel like Nebraska fans do deserve like some success. They've been kind of beat up a bit, but I don't know. I don't see it. I honestly, who I think they should go for is Kendall Briles. I think he's the OC at where is he at now? Can't remember where he's at, but I think he's a really good play caller. I think um, he's got a really good track record of offense. He's OC at Arkansas right now. Let's see. Yeah, he's at Arkansas. So that would be my that's who I think they should go to because you like I get it. Like people like to say that Nebraska is a really good, like this is a great job. I don't think Nebraska is a great job. And what I mean by that is you don't get to pick up the phone and get whoever you want. That's not happening. It's not happening. Nebraska's been a bit of a dumpster fire for quite a while. So I don't think, nah, nah, I don't buy
Well,
it. But that's just me.
well, remains to be seen. But as you can see, we've gone down a rabbit hole talking about what Urban Meyer is going to end up next. That tells you a lot about today. So I think that about does it, man.
A big Michigan win, 59 to nothing. Getting their first shutout of the year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, first shutout. So that's awesome. 59 points. Yeah, getting ready for Big Ten play next week. We will be here Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for about an hour or so on the channel. So please hit the notification so that way once we do go live, you get the notification. And we appreciate you guys as always. We got about 91 live. So give us a thumbs up on your way out and enjoy the rest of your football Saturday. That's it
Peace.
for us. Peace.